Hello, everyone. This is Newsflash. Welcome to the Day Show. On the show, we start with the White House. They dare the Democrats to try to impeach them. They're feeling tough. All right. We're taking a look at how students are taking a little bit more of a frontline role in recent school shootings. That feels like I said that way too casually. The Democrats have appointed a counter-revolutionary leader to fight off their insurgent left wing. We'll take a look at that. Mayor Pete has problems with health insurance on his campaign. What a dreamboat guy is he. Chelsea Manning's been released. Republicans having a meltdown over Donald Trump's congressional subpoena. Ocasio and Bernie team up. Alabama said stop their abortion bill. Trump is laughing about murdering immigrants. And Fox News is laughing at Ilhan Omar's death threats, jeering. Guess who is the culprit? Jesse Waters. What a surprise. What a great guy there Jesse Waters is. All right. We start at the top, where the White House and Congress are escalating their constitutional showdown. President Trump and his team are essentially just trying to call the Democrats on their bluff. This is what they think is going on. It's a Democratic bluff here. The message is put up or shut up, impeach or move on. That's what they're saying. Just come on, do it. Do it. You won't. Like, that's pretty much what they're trying to do. Confident there are not enough votes to remove him from office through an impeachment trial in the Senate, obviously. Trump and his advisors have chosen the path of maximum resistance, calculating they can put the Democrats on the defensive in a fight that's politically useful for the president. The decision to assert executive privilege and defy subpoenas across the board suits Trump's natural combative instincts and fits the grievance narrative he has adopted by arguing that the establishment is out to get him, when pretty much he is the establishment at this point in Washington. Well, I mean, not really. What I would say, though, is he has kind of the control over everything in Washington, him and the Republican Party. Like, he has that power now. Like, he has the power to resist. He's the benefit of the doubt. Like, he can't really come out and claim that. I mean, is that going to stop him from doing it? Absolutely not. But still, just know it's a little bit ridiculous there. Like, there isn't a lot of large-scale resistance from him. All right, so, yeah. If it's an impeachment proceeding, then someone should call it that. If you don't call their bluff now, said Rudy Giuliani with the president's personal lawyers, they'll keep slithering around for 4 or 5 or 6 months. And I mean, like, it's not a bad strategy. Like, bring things to the issue is a potentially unpopular strategy for the Democrats here that may not really work for them if they do it wrong. And I do think it's a relatively smart move. One of the first, really, and many. Actually forcing their hand, like actually forcing the Democratic hand there, seeing what's going on, and I think that could be really interesting and incredibly helpful to talk about that. So, yeah. Democrats recognize what's going on. Trump is goading us to impeach him, Speaker Nancy Pelosi said at a Cornell event. So far, they have not taken the bait or backed off. They kind of said somewhere in between, which I do think is kind of the right move there. They can't let him get away. As I said this morning on the Wake Up, you just cannot let him get away with resisting this kind of stuff. Like, because it's just not how you're supposed to do it. It's not how, can't let the president just think he's above the law. And right now, as long as Pelosi continues to let him get away with this, he is above the law. Like, he's resisting subpoenas, he's just flouting this, he's doing whatever he wants, and it's not a good situation. It's really, really not a good situation. Advisors to Trump said that there was no overarching White House strategy, and they simply remained on the same war footing that they had been on since they took office more than 2 years ago. Embattled is just the natural state of affairs in the Trump White House. It's a truer statement that's never been spoken in the White House memo from Peter Baker, Maggie Haberman, and Michael Schmidt here is what we are reporting off of from today. Trump has focused in recent days on overseas crises and challenges, holding a hastily called meeting with advisors early Wednesday morning about a reported threat of force by Iran against American forces in the Middle East. He said to also have been absorbed in the developing Democratic primary battle to choose a challenger for him in next year's election. Internal poll of 17 states taken by Trump's campaign showed one possible opponent, former Vice President Joe Biden, overtaking Trump in a head-to-head contest, according to people familiar with the numbers. Trump fared better in a matchup against Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont, with Trump's low approval numbers were dragging him down against the Democrats. So it's unclear if anyone, whether the campaign poll tested anyone else in the field. So Bernie and Biden really seem to be the two that they're worried about. And I mean, honestly, I am kind of worried about Biden too, because he seems to be, at this point, he seems to be kind of the logical person who you're going to have to challenge. I mean, we thought it was Kamala, then we thought it was Biden, then we thought it was Beto, then we thought it was Buttigieg. Like, we thought all these people were going to come out and try to get him, But it seems right now, like, it's going to be Biden, like, probably the most gaffe-prone candidate, the person with the most, the worst record. And something that really Bernie needs to shake from him is he is not that guy. He's pretty much responsible for everything that Obama did that wasn't the best. Like, he got too close to Israel. He was too friendly to the banks. And, like, that was Biden pushing him to do it and kind of being that negative influence on him throughout that whole time. He was the more right-wing force in that party, and when he goes centrist, as we saw in 2016, we lose. Bernie Sanders really, really needs to make that case if he wants to distinguish himself and shake that narrative that Joe is not, like, if he really wants this, Joe is not that kind of guy. Joe is not going to be the guy who's going to come in and bring real progressive change, because he is really pretty much the guy who is, he's not that Obama White House guy. He's not the guy who's associated with Obama the way everyone thinks he is. Joe Biden apparently, quote unquote, asked him not to endorse, which I don't believe. But the truth is, like, he needs to shake that myth, and he needs to shake it fast. Bernie does before Biden gets too big of a lead on him and convinces too many people. All right. Yeah, so that does not mean he is disengaged from the fight underway in the aftermath of the investigation by the special counsel, Robert Mueller. On the other hand, the president expressed anger on Thursday about a subpoena issued by the Senate Intelligence Committee to his eldest son, Donald Trump Jr., and privately complained to advisors about Senate Republicans who have sought his family's help politically but are not compelling his son to testify. The president's strategy had been directed so far by Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel, and senior Justice Department officials like Attorney General William Barr. Cipollone has strong views about executive power, and apparently, if he's like Barr, he's probably interesting views about what qualifies as obstruction of justice or not. Trump has been watching Fox News and other coverage of the congressional efforts to obtain parts of Mueller's report that were redacted by Barr, people close to him said, and at times his impulses have contradicted the lawyer's advice. He has asked some confidence why they should not just reveal everything in the 448-page Mueller report, the vast majority of which has, again, already been made public. But he also said he wants everyone to move on so he can concentrate on a presidential agenda, something he expressed on Twitter throughout last weekend, which is something I don't get. Like, why is this such a big deal? Why are you taking the path of maximum resistance here if this has already been, like, made out? Like, there's not that much redacted. I really don't think if it's going to be released, it's going to be too more damaging. I just don't get it. As for whether Mueller should be allowed to testify before the House Judiciary Committee, the president reversed himself on Thursday and said he would leave the decision to Barr, who has said he does not object to such an appearance. So it looks like that could very well happen without, against the president's resistance. Honestly, Democratic-led committee can pretty much challenge whoever they want. But in private, Trump has continued to protest advisors about whether the Justice Department should seek to block Mueller from appearing. So that'd be, what grounds could they do it? But legal scholars disagree about the administration's chances of prevailing in court on its privilege claim and subpoena fights, but the White House sees little downside in waging that battle, which is probably like, right? Even if Trump were to lose, the more the various investigations of the president look like a partisan food fight, the easier it may be to dismiss them as mere politics. And I definitely think, the American people, I don't know if how much they're really following this. They may be tired of hearing about it on the news every day, but they've heard it that way for the past 2 years. It's been investigation, and no one's really been able to kind of get a full stand on it. Like, we just haven't seen that yet. So it'll be interesting to see how they handle that in the future to come. So, all right, we now turn to school shootings. 2 school shootings separated by 7 days and more than 1,500 miles, but details they were eerily familiar. When a gunman charged into a classroom, a student went barreling towards it, preventing more bloodshed while sacrificing his life. At the University of North Carolina in Charlotte, it was Riley Howell, a 21-year-old, at STEM school in Highlands Ranch, Colorado. It was Kendrick Castillo, 18 years old. The young men were held as heroes for assuming the unimaginable role of emergency responder to a school shooting at just child age. Like, imagine. Like, if you're listening to this, you're above 21, you're above 18. Like, imagine doing that. Like, I couldn't, and I'm younger than both of those ages, but it just seems to be incredible to me that anyone could really possibly do it. So a little bit unrelated, though. I'm getting this now about impeachment. 45% support impeachment, according to a Reuters Ipsos poll. 42% of the country does not. That's just coming through now. Just want to get that out to you. But, again, these awful 2 school shootings that happened back-to-back here with Castillo and the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. These actions credited by authorities with saving the lives of classmates suggests that some members of America's mass shooting generation have learned to act by instinct or intention as professionals would in the face of this deadly tragedy. I mean, in some cases, we see, like, in Parkland, professionals just don't act. And the kids are the people, like, in this situation, have to come up, they have to save the day and just do it for everybody. Like, it's so sad, so awful that, like, this is happening. Especially in my generation. That's why probably, at least for us, guns in schools, such a big deal. Guns, just in general, such a big deal. Because, like, it's a really tough thing. Like, the fact that this is, again, this is a sign of the apocalypse, that we are having school-age children sacrificing their lives, like, just 7 days apart from each other to save their own lives in a school shooting. Like, this does not happen anywhere in the world. This doesn't even happen in, like, the poorest parts of the world. Like, there still is better gun control. I mean, obviously, some parts are more violent in the U.S., but the fact is, like, any developed country, like, this doesn't happen in England, this doesn't happen in even Slovenia. Like, I don't even know. Just name a developed country. Name a country that isn't, like, gang-ridden at this point. And no school shootings occur. Like, none. They have their other problems, but they don't have kids jumping in front of gunmen to save themselves. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that this continues to exist at this point in time, because it just, like, I couldn't imagine. I really could not imagine it. Yeah, I just want to take a little bit of time to shout out these kids doing some incredible stuff there as well. So, all right, we are going to move on to the Democratic Party. And the thing is, not after Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar were sworn into Congress, they have now, thanks to Ryan Grimm, he wrote a great article in The Intercept about this. He's talking about the counter-revolution, the Democratic counter-revolution, the counter to the insurgency, the counter to the challenging the status quo. Pretty much the status quo, has picked their fighter, and it is Josh Gottheimer. He has particularly strong views about each of Rashid Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, so that's a joy. Gottheimer is a second-term representative from New Jersey. Has deep ties to the lobbies of Saudi Arabia and Israel, while Tlaib and Omar are both critical of these Mideast governments. So, I mean, yeah, if you're bought off by them, if you have all your political positions are determined by their money, when it comes to them, like, of course, I don't think you'd like people who criticize them, especially Muslim women of color. Like, that would tend to make you a little bit uncomfortable if you're completely bought off by them, like Josh Gottheimer is. So when Gottheimer reached out to meet with Tlaib, she was eager to take it, hoping a personal connection would help bridge their differences. So, just kept trying to get together. Gottheimer arrived February 6th with a colleague, freshman Elaine Luria from Virginia, in a white binder. Luria began by saying she'd met with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu 6 weeks earlier, and Tlaib tried to break the ice with a little joke saying, quote, "How's the two-state solution going?" unquote. The joke, unsurprisingly, fell flat. Gottheimer pulled out the binder, showing it, opening it to show Tlaib the contents. It was apparently a collection of printed out articles with quotes and other lines highlighted. He says, he goes through them. He says, "You said this, you said that," confusing with other colleagues. Gottheimer, through his spokesperson from the encounter, but claimed that he reached out to Tlaib at the behest of Democratic leadership. So that's great. That's great. Pelosi added again with her great matchmaking ideas and abilities here. This is ridiculous. Congressman Tlaib to have open, honest discussion about anti-Semitic comments on dual loyalty and other anti-Semitic tropes that the congressman and many others of Congress felt deeply disturbing. As requested by leadership, the congressman brought copies of statements that he found disturbingly anti-Semitic. The congressman shared them with the Congresswoman Tlaib and had what he believed at the time a mutually productive conversation, said James Adams in an email. The congressman shared a document with a list of deeply disturbing tropes uttered by certain members of Congress. So again, just like blah, blah, blah. From James Adams, spokesperson slurry is what we get from him at this one. Just literally nothing of any substance. Yeah, Tlaib, she said she tried to reach Gottheimer at a personal level, telling him about her grandmother who lives in the occupied Ramallah. He was not really interested. He said he was, quote, "using a stern tone like a father to a child. At the moment I realized he's a bully. He had a goal of breaking me down. I left feeling that way." And I mean, this is really quite incredible, and good thing that she didn't break down, because